Unplanned fun. Instead of meeting up at drinks as planned, Helene texted at the last minute to say he had been booked for a spontaneous photoshoot. He was sponsoring a charity kickball game and had been asked to attend. At first, I felt a flicker of annoyance, but then it hit me. I had never actually asked Hill what he did for a living. I knew he was successful, not flashy, but well cared for and detail-oriented. His car was sleek and expensive. His shoes alone probably cost more than one of my freelance gigs. And he carried himself with an effortless confidence. Maybe he was a professional athlete like Keller. His broad shoulders and sculpted frame certainly fit the bill. Or maybe, just maybe, he was an agent, though he seemed too relaxed for that high-stakes world. The photo shoot was set in the backyard of one of the city's most well-known mansions. Upon arrival, the valet attendant greeted me, and a well-dressed staff escorted me to the back veranda where the shoot was already in motion. Helene had told them I was coming, which was nice, to be expected and treated like an honored guest. The atmosphere was lively and filled with laughter. Helene posed with the kids, playfully reenacting scenes from the kickball field, making them smile like they just met their hero. I found myself surprisingly at ease. The event had an effortless joy to it, and I enjoyed being a guest, sipping on a perfectly crafted cocktail as I watched Helene in his element. The shoot eventually bled into a casual after-party, with some of the biggest names in the local pro football league lounging around, sipping drinks and sharing stories. The air buzzed with energy. The music was just right, and for the first time in a long time, I felt good, light. Like maybe I wasn't carrying the weight of my past on my shoulders. And then, just like that, the moment shattered. I felt him before I even saw him. Keller. The energy in the room shifted, or maybe it was just in my head, but suddenly I wasn't just standing at a glamorous party. I was standing at the crossroads of my past and present. My breath caught in my throat as my gaze landed on him. His presence was as commanding as ever, and even in a crowd, he stood out like a gravitational force I couldn't ignore. Where the hell has he been? The familiar ache I thought had been buried rushed back to the surface. He had disappeared without a word, without an explanation, leaving me to piece together the scraps of what could have been. And now, of all places, of all moments, here he was, when I was with someone else. I wasn't ready for this. My pulse quickened, emotions tangling in a complicated knot inside of me. A part of me wanted to march up to him and demand answers, to ask why he had left me in limbo, why he had made me feel like I was the only one fighting for something between us. Another part of me, the more fragile part, wanted to turn and walk away before he had a chance to see me, before I had to risk reading indifference in his expression. My mind warred with itself. Keller had been my past, my history, the unfinished chapter I had once believed would lead to more. But Helene, he was new, unexpected, promising. He had stepped into her world like a breath of fresh air, showing me that being pursued could be easy, joyful, even healing. And it was just the second day. Yet, I had spent so much time hoping for a moment like this, hoping that one day Keller would show up and say something, anything, to prove that I hadn't imagined the connection between us. But what if he didn't? What if he looked right through me, confirming what I had feared all along? That I had always cared more, always wanted more, and had just been passing time. A lump formed in my throat, and my wine buzz was officially gone. I needed to breathe, to think. Without another word, I excused myself, weaving through the crowd towards the ladies' room. Excuse me. I didn't dare look back. If Keller saw me, I'd have to be the one to make a move. Because for the first time, I wasn't going to wait for him to choose me. As soon as I made my way back to Helene, I noticed him in deep conversation with Keller. My breath hitched. Keller's expression was unreadable, but the flicker of something, recognition, surprise, maybe even curiosity, passed across his face as his eyes met hers. Just as she reached them, one of the directors called Helene away. With an easy nod, he excused himself, leaving Sonny standing there with Keller. She turned to him, searching his face for something that would give away what he was thinking. Did he even care that it had been so long since they had last spoken? Keller, you know Helene? I asked, folding my arms as I waited for his response. Keller took a slow sip from his glass, then glanced over his shoulder towards Helene's retreating figure. A smirk played at his lips. Yeah, he said, voice smooth, unreadable. He's my new weapon. My brow shot up. Wait, he plays for the team? My voice betrayed my surprise. Keller chuckled, settling his glass down. Yep, if all goes well, we'll get him in a trade deal with Washington. It's all hush-hush for now until we lock in the details. This could get messy, I thought. I met Helene last night. When Cameron had car trouble, I said carefully, gauging Keller's reaction. I'm not with Brenton anymore. I guess he was mad about not going to the Super Bowl. Like you said, Helene and I are budding friends. Keller's gaze flickered across the room, almost dismissively. No big deal, Samantha. Wait, what? I blinked, momentarily thrown off. Samantha? Since when did he call me that? The way he said it, so formal, so distant. Why am I holding on to every word? But it was like I was just some woman at a party, not the person who had been by his side through childhood, late night conversations, near kisses, and an almost lover's moment. Sorry for the break in the story, but if you are enjoying what you hear, please hit the like and subscribe button and share this with your friends. These are inspiring, original stories about relationships that are good and wholesome for the heart. Now back to the story. I barely had time to process it before he smoothly changed the subject. Look, I have some people I need to talk to, Keller said, knocking back the rest of his drink. Then, with a casual smirk, he added, You look good. And just like that, he turned and walked away. I followed him with my eyes, confusion tightening in my chest. That's it? After all this time? I watched as Keller made his way towards one of the models from the photo shoot. Without hesitation, he placed his hands on the woman's waist. She leaned into him, just like Sonny had the night they kissed. Then he laughed. She laughed. And before Sonny's mind could spiral into full-on side chick paranoia, Keller laced his fingers through the model's hand and led her towards the bar for a drink. That should have been them. This was their moment to talk. And yet, he chose to go to another. I didn't even realize I had moved until I was back in Helene's presence. His warm gaze met mine, steady, assessing. You know Keller Stallings? His voice was casual, but there was something in the way he looked at me, like he already knew the answer and was just waiting to see how much I would say. I hesitated for a half a second. Yes, Keller is one of my best friends. I've known him since I moved across the street from him when we were kids. Our families are really close. We vacationed together, got in trouble together. I mean, he failed tests and I passed them. But, yeah, I know Keller. My words tumbled out faster than intended. Damn, was that too much? The last thing I wanted was to seem like I owed an explanation. But guilt? Guilt for what? I wasn't sure, but it sat heavy in my stomach. Helene nodded, but to her surprise, he didn't press further. He didn't ask about the history, didn't pry into the weight of what Keller meant to her. Instead, he just let it be. And maybe that was more powerful than anything he could have said. I studied Helene for a minute. He was effortlessly handsome, the kind of man who carried himself with confidence but not arrogance, charismatic yet intentional. The way his lips moved when he spoke was captivating, like each word was carefully chosen, and the way he looked at me, with full attention, made me feel seen. Unlike Keller, whose attention seemed to drift whenever it was most important, Helene was different. He wasn't running mind games. He was here, asking about me. My body responded in ways I hadn't expected. Not that I was that kind of girl, but no one would blame me for noticing how good of a man Helene was, or how good he looked in his outfit, especially after witnessing Keller's performance just minutes ago.